Whoops. Getting excited with the wheels in my chair. Well, yeah, take it away, Annie.
All right, let's see, I have myself, Annie Kathy, Amanda Henthorn, Terry Powers, Jason Emery, Jerry Marks, not Jason, Jerry Marks, Kyla Leonard, Lisa Bekovich, Melissa Fisher, Shane Stack, Vincent Pavlish, Violet Plummer, Randy Arnold, Martin Kidston, and MCAT. And in 206, we have Commissioners Bureau, Slotnick and Strohmeyer, John Hart, Chris Lounsbury, Ann Hughes, Allison Fritz. Did I miss anybody? Okay.
Okay, is there any public comment on items not on the agenda? Not hearing or seeing any, we have consent agenda 4 items. CSA's payments or
Just had a question on the first one.
yeah.
I could ask for Jerry. So Jerry, does the county contribute to other extension agents' salaries besides yours?
In Missoula, the 4 agents that it contributes is on the top of that agreement. And it does not contribute to many of the other people in the office.
So Jerry Campbell.
Oh, we contribute to all of them.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was getting at.
Mhm.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yes, there's 4 of us.
And usually Chris had the answer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
I know some stuff. Some stuff.
I'm happy moving. We approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? Anything that you pulled out, discussed separately? Okay, all in favor? Aye. On to action items. Lisa Vaskevich.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you,
Oh,
Jerry.
yeah.
Thank you.
Grant award with
Morning,
Montana Board of Crime
Commissioners.
Control.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm fighting a cold at home today, so hopefully I don't have to sneeze, but I'm here to present on our new exciting award from the Montana Board of Crime Control. And what is so exciting about this grant is it's 3 years, which is awesome. And it's a partnership with Friends of the Children. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Friends of the Children program, but we collaborated with them at the Health Promotion Division with our Substance Use Disorder Prevention Project and Anna Semple and her focus of work in early childhood prevention. And so what this partnership will bring to our community and to our tri-counties of Mineral and Lake County, Seeley Lake is expanding the Friends of the Children program for more mentors to serve more children in combination with training Friends of the Children staff, including these mentors and their administrative staff around trauma-informed practices, and really to build a robust train the trainer around trauma-informed practices and work for people engaged with our children and our communities in Mineral Lake, Seeley, and also in our opportunity zones in Missoula, the city of Missoula proper, around the Lowell School area, which also has the Friends of the Children programming happening there. This will pay for 10 hours of Anna Semple's time for 3 years a week. So that's really awesome. So it feels very, very good and exciting and progressive and aligns a lot of our work in substance use prevention with our early childhood initiatives. So I ask you to approve this contract for 3 years. It began October 1, 2023, and will take us through 2026. And it's at $417,000. So very excited, open to any questions that you might have.
I'm just so pleased. Well done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
welcome. So are there other, what are the other things that are paid for besides 10 hours of Anna's time?
So a lot of it, a bulk of the funding goes to Friends of the Children to pay the mentors because they're professional mentors. So the mentors are paid staff time. But then it also in our supplies budget, it pays for trauma-informed training workbooks to train agencies, and we're really trying to build with, it's called Raise Montana. It's the state organization that houses the trauma-informed best practices across our state to really build a robust train the trainer program to build in sustainability around trauma-informed work. And when I mention that, that's like assessing an agency's trauma-informed work and practice and how they're doing and evaluating and improving. So it's continually looking at the pipeline for your trauma-informed work. It's not static. I guess it's not like check the box. I did this training. I'm done. So it's an annual process of looking at that work through your agency and continually to train staff and to look at your policies or your practices or systems so you aren't re-traumatizing families and children across our communities. So some of that comes into training supplies and materials. So workbooks, incentives for trainers to lift them up and become trainers, trauma-informed trainers, besides Anna. The idea is Anna wouldn't be the one and sole trauma-informed trainer for Missoula County and Mineral and Lake County, that we would get a whole pool, kind of like how we do QPR trainings community-wide, where we train other staff in organizations or, the public or university students that are passionate and want to do the work. So it's a real collective.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. I would move that we authorize the chair to sign the grant agreement.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Awesome. Thank you.
So-
Have a great day.
I just had a quick question, sorry, back to just,
Yeah.
with the Friends of the Children, this is the program where mentors are with kids for like 8 years, right? Like
Correct.
kids,
Long
they're-
term.
long term.
Yeah, so it's 2 generations. So there's mentoring not only for the youth, the young children, which I believe are like, from 3 to 6. There's a very early childhood component, but also mentoring for the families, the parents.
Yep,
So
yep.
that's why it's called 2 generations. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
you bet. Okay. Have a great day.
You too. Feel better.
Thank you.
Chris Lounsbury.
Yeah, so commissioners, what you have before you is an interlocal agreement with the city of Missoula for the pooled opioid fund money. So as you'll recall, last week we asked you to sign a resolution which laid out the governance structure for the individual money from the opioid settlement that will come to Missoula County. Then this is how the city and county will manage that. So what this does is it has the chair of the commission and the mayor as the governing body for the joint funding that will come to the county and city through that pooled resource from the opioid settlement. The county will serve as the fiscal agent.
So one nonprofit already approached me. What should we say to these folks?
At this point, we don't have any money, and until we actually have that and develop a program, there isn't any more information. This is just the very first step in that process. We're a long way away from actually having funding.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
even
I have not yet responded because I was.
Yeah,
gonna ask.
we're a long way away from actually having funding.
and like it's like $30,000, right? When
The
it actually
county's,
happens.
the county's individual portion is 30,000, yes.
So
Yeah, I think the folks who reached out to me had bigger dreams.
it's okay to dream.
It is okay to
Thanks,
dream.
Juan.
It is okay to dream, but at this point, yeah.
Okay.
But this is year 1 of 18 years. This is one settlement of many settlements.
Thank you.
That's very helpful.
So, I mean, hopefully this is something that builds, that builds capital. Because, right, $30,000 doesn't sound like a lot.
1 year of 18 and one of many settlements.
When you're saying many, like you're talking a dozen or 6.
Probably closer to a dozen
Okay.
with time.
Good, that's good detail from.
I mean, this was a significant settlement.
I just,
I forget, the number in front of the B, but it was, it was a big number, but there's gonna be a lot of big numbers to come.
And this is small for us not just because it's 1 year of 18, but because that large sum is spread out across many, many communities. Is that correct?
Correct. And this, so I don't know if you want to talk about the way it's structured, John, or.
Well, in Montana, it's structured, the Attorney General set up a system of 14 abatement regions in the
Okay.
state. There are 9 metropolitan regions. Missoula city and county comprise one of those 9 metropolitan regions.
Are the 14 and 9 all separate?
Well, the 9 are part of the 14.
Okay.
There's another 5 multi-county
Okay.
Abatement regions. And I don't know why, I don't know how that was cooked, but Missoula city and county being one sole metropolitan region has some advantages.
And so what happens on Friday, Chris? There's a meeting.
So-
between these 9.
So Friday, the urban counties, which comprise
But we're
9 of
doing,
the 14, have to appoint 3 members to the state abatement council, for lack of a better term, that will serve as advisors to the Department of Justice on how to help distribute the funding that the state will get as its portion of the opioid funding, and will also serve to make sure that the 9 abatement areas, including Missoula County and city, spend their funding on approved items as less listed out both in the lawsuit settlement and in the MOU that Missoula County signed with the state of Montana.
And are we all participating in that?
we're doing de-escalation training.
That's
gonna
you're
say-
de-escalating.
So you all have expressed an interest in the fact that you would like Juanita to be named to be put forward, and that's.
Oh, no, it's Josh.
Sorry, Josh.
Sorry, Josh, we're often mistaken.
Sorry, Josh.
I
Josh is
used to
named-
have black.
being put forward. So the urban counties who make up the 9 will be on that call, and we'll get to make out that Josh is interested in serving on one of them.
Unless they choose someone else. So
Well, only 3, right, of the 9 communities. I don't know if any of the other communities are necessarily going to be as willing to step forward, or if they will be volunteered for some other process of cajoling.
So who, I'm sorry, who's showing up on,
I will be at that.
you
meeting.
will be,
Yeah, I
so
said I will
perfect,
be
thank
at
you,
that meeting.
okay.
So you will be our proxy at that meeting.
I can be your proxy.
Thank
at
you.
that meeting.
We're gonna be de-escalating.
Yes, I will be leaving that training to attend this. So,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, I would move, we approve the interlocal memorandum.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
This discussion here, I just want to say thanks to John for guiding her.
Yes.
And thanks to Chris for understanding it.
Here, can I just get a photo of you two? Because you look amazing, because we got no print.
You know how I feel about having my picture
I
taken.
know, but it's not often that we have hearts with the
That's a great.
lavender headband. It's just my
Looks good.
favorite. It is, yeah, that's so good. 1, 2, 3, and we gotta get a little Missoula County. Okay, thanks for indulging me.
It's grizzly maroon.
Grizzly, oh,
I got.
lavender, it's not lavender.
Yeah, they're going for
I'm
it.
sorry.
They're in a playoff, they have no business being in.
Yeah, no, it's eggplant. Okay, like,
That's not usually the case.
okay, sorry, Shane.
Good morning. I can appreciate the Grizzlies as well.
Oh, look at that.
No bandana though. No hair either. I have 3 items, so we'll cover the first one. It looks like Bob Giordano is also there, but so the first item is a contract with DJNA to design Lolo Street Bridge here in Missoula to 30% design, just so that we can get kind of an idea of what the scope would be and what the cost would be if we ever moved forward with a replacement or a rehabilitation of that structure. The cost of that 30% design effort is just a little bit below $50,000 at $49,959. And I did get a comment from Bob this morning, and his concern is that the scope of this contract does not include additional widening for bike lanes, essentially. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. We did have a brief conversation about this yesterday with the commissioners, and looking at the existing typical section of the roadway leading to the bridge in either direction. There are no bike lanes. There are curb gutter sidewalks on parts of it, curb and gutter on both sides, though. We did reach out to the city and ask them their preference on a typical section for the bridge, and that's where the proposed widths came from, was specifically from the city. So I'm assuming that's the direction that they would head with Lolo Street as a roadway in the future. So, Bob, I guess I want to make sure you have an opportunity to speak as well, and maybe we can have a quick conversation on the scope.
Thanks, Shane. My name's Bob Giordano.
Come on over, man. You can pull a chair up wherever fits.
I'll go to the corner here. I have several hats. Today's hat is co-chair of the Rattlesnake Transportation Committee, and I live really close to Lolo Street Bridge. We completed a update to the Rattlesnake Transportation Plan. It was something Commissioner Schneemeyer was involved heavily with like 12 years ago. We updated this 2 years ago. It was a 2-year process, over 500 comments, and we ranked projects. Lolo Street, not a big surprise, ranked urgent, maybe garnered the most comments for speeding, lack of safety, lack of crossing the street for kids, safe routes to school. It's an important route. It's really the only cross motor vehicle route in the Rattlesnake, so that's not to be discounted at how important this route is. My concern reading the scope that I got was that it says 24 feet deck, widening a couple feet. I think it's 20 or 22 right now, with a 6-foot sidewalk on each side. So great, we need sidewalks, but why I've come down here is I think we shouldn't predetermine the 24 feet, which says there will be no bike facilities, or the bikes will share with the sidewalk, or they'll share the lane. I'm even concerned that this is going to increase the speeds of people going through that little S curve if the road gets widened. It's not to say we couldn't traffic comment later, but I know how these upfront decisions set the stage for, in this case, possibly 50 years. That's another assumption in the scope, is it's a 50-year project. The city is well aware that our committee is gung-ho on safe walking and biking and transportation, and Lolo Street was an urgent ranking. I'm surprised that they may have said this is the set width we would want to go to. They almost put, we almost had bike lanes put on the east side of the bridge on Lolo this past summer. And we had a robust discussion and decided just not to put yellow lines on Lolo Street. Except for the bridge, there's no yellow lines, and that helps to lower the speed. All this to say, there's a lot of discussion right now in the Rattlesnake about what is Lolo Street and our main collectors arterials. What are they going to look like in the future? I'm worried we're just predetermining a 24-foot width when maybe we need 26, maybe we only need 20. Maybe 24 is the right number. I'm wondering, is there a way we can have the scope, just leave that question open? Our committee works with Shane or DJNA or whoever to arrive at a good cross section for all modes, because I'm worried that if you vote on this as is today, then future conversations are going to be, no, sorry, it's only 24. No, we can't do 20, can't do 22, you can't do 26. I also realize that if we go any wider than 24, the existing piers may not be able to handle that. I would be interested in lighter materials on that bridge. I think there's a lot of discussion and questions to come. I'm gonna stop there. I don't know, Shane, if you have a reaction to what I've just kind of put forth.
Yeah, Bob, no, those are all good points. And I think the challenge we face is obviously, fiscal challenges, right? How do you make this the ideal bridge, but also keep it fiscally constrained? And one of the things we're trying to do is continue to use those existing abutments, right? So I don't have a problem, Bob, and I don't think because we put the widths in the scope that we're nailed down to that. I think what we would like to do though is design this in such a way where we can keep those abutments on either end the same and not have to worry about reconstructing those. Because if we can, what the plan is to pull this deck off. It's basically, they're called bulb Ts. And if you can imagine a capital letter T, a bunch of those stacked next to each other with the top of the T is actually the deck. And the beam is the vertical part of that letter. That's how this is constructed. So you can basically kind of rip the top stripping off this deck and then pull those bulb T beams, come back in with a different set and reset those, right? So it can be a very simple fix for this project. And if we can do that and in such a way where it also meets the needs of the community as far as those widths, that's not a problem. And I don't think we're stuck to the width of 6 feet on either side and 24. As long as we have the flexibility to keep those abutments, I'm not that concerned with where we end up with the width for each one of those elements, if that makes sense.
Shane, so if that's the case, can we put it back on DJ&A to give us an answer whether the width can exceed what's currently contemplated, provided that the abutments or piers could be used?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what we should do is just move forward with this contract. If we need to do amendments, we can. What we were trying to avoid is, the additional cost to do the geotechnical efforts to figure out what that cost would be for, say, widening of that abutment. That's going to bump this up, the cost of just this 30% design considerably. So if we can just work with DJ&A to do this, still just keep it simple, but also have some flexibility in design of the width, I'm sure they're willing to work with us on that. And again, we can do an amendment if we need to.
How does that sound?
It kind of helps us, or what I hear is it helps us kind of get off center so we can, okay, we can't move the abutments, but moving forward, there's still flexibility to find a lane or different
Yeah,
materials.
so this is the stepping stone. I guess I'm hearing that there's a lot of openness to amend if we have to. I'm also cognizant of, keeping that fiscal cost down. I guess it sounds okay. I do want to say, this is at least a 50-year structure. If we had to spend more money, I'll go fundraise, whatever it is. But that bridge is so important to the Rattlesnake Valley. I don't want us to just say, absolutely no, we're not going to change the abutments. It sure should be a goal not to if we don't have to. But we're talking about the growth of this valley. It's going to increase, and walking, biking, and driving across this bridge is likely to continue for some time. Got to do it safe.
So Bob, here,
Yeah.
so there will be another potential decision point. So hypothetically, we approve the contract today, DJ&A moves forward and answers the question, what is the width that these abutments can hold or support? If the answer is, yeah, we can go wider, then we're golden. If the answer is no, then there's a decision point of whether or not we need to amend the contract to do a deeper dive on the abutment.
But I don't think we're gonna know the answer to that unless we move forward with this step and kind of set DJ&A on this as a problem to be solved.
And I agree with that. I didn't see something that said DJ&A is tasked with figuring out the maximum width.
We can, Shane, we can certainly ask them to do that.
Bob, I don't see that as that's going to be a challenge. I'm sure they're going to be willing to work with us.
You're saying that they will come back.
Bob, is I don't think this isn't going to lock us into the widths that are scoped, right? Like when we scoped this, I think DJ&A just looked at that and said, well, here's kind of the direction we're going, 24 and 6 and 6. But if we need to make that 22 and 5 and 5 or something, and try to shoot for that and see if that fits, then yeah, that's the direction we'll try to go. But I will tell you this, just given the width of the structure today, I'm interested to get their perspective on, you know, what it would take to widen that, because you're looking at probably, well, 8 feet, I would guess, in addition to what we're already talking about widening right now. Because I think you could, with a 24-foot top that we had talked about, you take a foot off and make them 11-foot lanes, and then you're left with 2 additional, 4 feet on either side for a 5-foot bike lane, right? Yeah, and you could even go 10 foot. I don't know if the city would be willing to go 10-foot driving lanes, and then you're down to an additional 3 on each side for 6. So it becomes a game of numbers and math here to try to figure out what's our maximum width, and then what with that maximum width, what do we do with all that space? How do we optimize it? So anyway, Bob, I think the best course of action with this is just move forward with the contract, and DJ&L will work with us. I have no doubt that they'll work with us to try to figure out some of these issues, and we can do an amendment if we need to.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. I know our next committee meeting's coming up, and we're actually in process of prioritizing projects to work on. I imagine Lolo Street Bridge design is going to be an elevated project in our whole Rattlesnake Valley. I'm going to get people talking about this, about what do we want for the future? What do we want for bike facilities, walking facilities, driving facilities? So, we're going to come at this with a spirit of cooperation, and we'll stay in touch. And
Bob,
that's all I can say.
Something else to discuss, as I'm sure you will. Back in the day when the sidewalks went in on the west side of Rattlesnake Creek there, and we were talking about this yesterday, I want to say that the reason we only ended up with a sidewalk on one side was because of the abnormally narrow right-of-way width.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be something else to contemplate is you end up making a wider bridge, but if beyond that, there is no flexibility to widen the road width.
So Dave and Shane, I guess, are you saying on the north side of Lolo Street where that stone wall is, there's no more right of way?
That's my recollection, and that's why I remember. I could have a faulty memory because it was like 12 years ago.
Do you know, Bob?
I don't know exactly, but there is a small walkway there and I've scouted, several of us have scouted that north side. There is room for a walkway, and I presume that's why a sidewalk's being proposed on the north side of the bridge. You'd want it to connect east and west. So a sidewalk on both sides of the bridge makes sense. But it does really inform the rest of Lolo Street, and the rest of what we want to do as a neighborhood on Lolo Street should inform the bridge.
Yeah, so I no doubt you're right on the bridge piece. I'm just wondering, does the city actually own right of way here?
Can even move that wall.
Do we own the right of way to move the wall, or would the city then have to buy that right of way from those neighbors?
I think the issue goes all the way up to Duncan.
I see a hand up as well, but Shane, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, I don't want to get wrapped around the axle on the right of way width out here too much, just because those are things that can be addressed, right? Like if the right of way is not wide enough today to have a bike lane and a sidewalk in the future, it doesn't mean that the city can't make it a priority to go in there and purchase that right of way and build the infrastructure. I think the challenge for me is knowing that they've already built sidewalks on this side. That means I just don't see them in the next 10 years tearing all these sidewalks that they just built out, right? So it's probably going to have to widen out on this side, and you're going to have to fit the bike lanes and the sidewalk. And I think it's great. I think it's a good vision, but I also want to work with the city. And like I said, we've worked with the city on this. So if we continue to work with the city, and they're saying, you know what, our plan is to widen this out so that we do have bike lanes and we do have sidewalks, let's think about widening the structure. I have no problem doing that at all. But I also want to make sure that we're working with the city as well as your group, Bob.
So that sounds to me like not only would your group need to really stay in touch with us on the bridge, but the same kind of communication would need to happen at the city on the approaches to the bridge, so that we make the bridge consistent with what the road is going to be.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, we almost had advisory, there's another technique called advisory bike lanes. I won't get into the design, but those almost went in last summer because this got repaved last summer. It was a blank slate. And we had some community discussions, especially with Ben Weiss and Aaron Wilson, and we determined advisory bike lanes were not appropriate at the moment. So we went with the no yellow line. So we almost had a type of bike lane on here, and then that would just not be great to have them just completely disappear at the bridge. Should this bridge just be the city's?
I think you would be a wonderful, we could, you know, it's gotta be. Artifact of state law that we have responsibility for bridges even within. It's gotta be, yeah, it's gotta be somebody's birthday over there. We can make this a gift.
love
I think we would have a quick unanimous vote.
Yeah. Oh, all bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we're messing with this, because it's obviously not.
Yeah.
It's within city limits, all bridges.
Even
We even had to mess with, we had to mess with the locks on the Van Buren pedestrian bridge because it's a bridge.
Right.
So even though it feels very much a city thing. not a county thing.
Okay, moving forward, just, am I right that we're gonna get an answer in this 30% design that says how much extra width the piers can handle or
Abutments.
the abutments, or is that later?
Yeah,
No, Bob, that's something that we can get an answer up front.
absolutely.
All right, our committee, we appreciate this. We're gonna keep working on it. We'll come up with probably some design iterations and work with you, Shane, or whoever else in your staff is appropriate and the city. And thank you.
Feel good about our DJNA.
Yeah.
They have always been, at least since I've been here, wanting to cooperate, be flexible, work with us, really good partners.
Yeah.
So I feel good about that.
Someone online.
I don't,
Okay, I would move that we approve the contract. I'll second that.
any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thanks for being here, Bob.
Yeah, Bob,
Yeah.
please keep coming up.
Yeah, thank you.
The rare guest. Thanks,
I
Bob.
know, it's so nice. I think you're like our first guest in months.
Yeah.
So, actually, yeah. We are the under the radar local government.
Okay, Shane.
Yeah, so the next one, I think, Bob, is a perfect example of an amendment that we're proposing to do with WGM on the Shea Run parking area. We had originally scoped WGM to design the parking area and the trail between the Shea Run existing fishing access site and the proposed parking area. What we didn't scope was design of a bus stop or river access trail or floodplain permitting. And, you know, we had a limited number of meetings that they were going to attend. And so they've done all those efforts. And so we're proposing to do an amendment to make sure that we have enough money in the project to cover those efforts for WGM. So that's kind of the background on that.
I think for me to say I move to approve the contract doesn't even come close to expressing my enthusiasm for this. I'm so psyched that this is happening and that this amendment's happening and it's growing and just becoming better over time. Thanks for all the work, Shane.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? We see any? I don't see anyone online or hear anyone.
Bob, are you familiar with this project?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's in the Highway 200 corridor plan. We're just moving a little faster than the whole plan.
No, it seems good, multimodal transportation.
Absolutely, and getting cars off that road, which was a real priority. Parked cars off the road.
Yeah, my hope is there can be a trail all the way out to Bonner at some point.
Someday.
One day.
Yeah, it's
It's an iterative process.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Right. I
Last
have
one.
So this is the Shea Run fishing access site. Again, same topic, just a different item. So we've got an MOA with Fish, Wildlife and Parks and essentially what this MOA covers is the future management of the parking area, and as well as all the improvements that come along with that parking area. So the agreement essentially puts the responsibility on Fish, Wildlife and Parks to own and operate that facility. And I see Randy Arnold is also on the call. And I don't know, Randy, if you want to add anything, but I would just say that FWP has been great to work with. So is MDT and everybody else that's been part of the project. It's been a great collaborative effort. So.
Yeah, just good morning, commissioners. Just a little bit of additional detail and Shane, thanks. You guys have been great to work with too. It's really been with a lot of support, a fun project to work on and some challenges along the way, but it's been really great to take each of those challenges on and come up with solutions for each of them as we've gone. We had a discussion around whether or not we needed an MOA and what purpose does it serve. And I think just recognizing that our successors will likely deal with, so how did this come about? Whose is it? Who's responsible for what? It really kind of memorializes and was an opportunity to collect what the Fish and Wildlife Commission approved, what authority they gave the department, what latitude we had, but it also defines the significant contribution that the county made in getting the site developed and then handing it off to Fish, Wildlife and Parks. It's a little silent, although it points to that we also have a relationship with MDT going forward with their recreation permit process. But I think it just helps clarify for any successor when they go to look at this complicated, how did we come about this, that it answers a lot of questions and it may prevent some challenges in the future where somebody then wonders why the county isn't paying for the improvement or why Fish, Wildlife and Parks is footing the bill for maintenance or something. It just helps really define the relationship and how it got settled. And I just really appreciate the county's support and willingness to put some solutions on the table here.
Thanks, Randy. And thanks for shepherding this through on your side. I can only imagine that's not a quick thing.
Okay, I move that we approve the MOA.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Yay, one day. We're gonna do a commissioner float.
Yes, we are, from the new parking lot.
Correspondent. Our yearly jail inspection?
Yep, you guys signed this already.
Oh, great, thank you.
So this is just posting the notification. I have a copy of it if you need to see it again.
This sounds funny, but I'm proud of our jail.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. Glad we got to go.
One of the safest in the nation.
I know.
With some of the best meals in the nation.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yes.
Inmates during transport asked to stop here. For them.
Before dinner and if they have to spend the night, leave after breakfast.
Oh.
So we were told, yeah.
So we incorporated a takeout.
But yeah, clean, safe, good food. I'm glad we can provide that. Great, okay, discussion items. Budget amendment, addition of staff to Missoula City County Library. That is why you are here.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, nice to see you all.
You mean Slaven here.
That's right. Hi, everyone. It's Slaven Lee, Executive Director of the library. I have 2 cost-neutral budget amendment requests that Amanda Henthorn is here to speak to more specifically about the finance side of it that we want to bring to you on Thursday. So the first one is that our foundation director, Carl Olson, has 2 hats at the library. He does half-time with the foundation and 20 hours as our PR person. His salary is fully reimbursed by the foundation. So technically the foundation is donating that work to the library. Really incredible. It's too much work for one person and it means that he can't really focus on either of those hats. The foundation and I would really love to see him be the foundation director 100% of his time. That would allow him to do a lot more fundraising on behalf of the library. I'm sure you all know that the foundation raised something like $7 million for the new building. So when the attention is focused on them, it's amazing what they can achieve. I have a lot of ideas and plans for doing outreach out into the county beyond downtown, to our branches and, you know, in places that where people can't necessarily get to the library, and that fundraising would really help with those ideas and services. But we would still need to have someone at the library do the PR duties that Carl does. So there's a surprising amount of PR and communications that comes out of the library. Lots of work around advertising the 300 or so programs we have every quarter. So that role is really important. So the first request would be that we make more hours available to a part-time person in the library so that they can take on Carl's role, and Carl can totally focus on the foundation work. And the foundation will still reimburse the library for Carl's salary. So that's the first one. Questions about that?
I like
Sounds-
this when
sounds
you
like a
lead with
great-
budget neutral.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great solution.
Okay, good. I thought that point was important.
You didn't bury the lead.
The second cost neutral request that we're making is to add a community engagement specialist position to the library. So we recently made the library available for rentals after hours. That was part of the promise of the new building. And without even trying, because we don't have time to advertise it, time to really respond to everyone who wants to rent the library after hours for weddings, conferences, fundraisers, you name it. Without even trying, we already have $10,000 in revenue booked for this fiscal year. So I would love to have a person who could focus on that, but also focus on engaging with underserved populations outside of the library. So, for example, there's tons of stuff that we could do with Soft Landing to serve refugees and new immigrants, but transportation is a huge issue for them. So if we could take the library to them more regularly, that would have a huge impact. So that's stuff that we could do all over the county with this position.
That's fantastic.
Okay, that's
great.
my proposal.
Super good. That will work.
Thank you.
So we'll hear from you again on Thursday?
You'll hear more from Amanda if I understand the process correctly. So, and I think she's here if she has anything to add.
I am here today. I will say that for the remainder of fiscal year 23, these changes are neutral. Moving into fiscal year 24, when the full-time community engagement specialist becomes a year-round position, there may be a small portion of it that would not be covered by the revenue, depending on increases in salary and fringe. So it's nearly neutral, but not quite once you get to a full fiscal year.
But then we're hoping that person generates enough
They
to pay
abs-
for
They
themselves.
absolutely will.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Amanda, to not be as clear on that, but
Personally felt fully confident.
me too. Thank you. And worst case scenario, we can have this person do passport work as well. We make a lot of
Oh, I
revenue.
forgot about
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
excellent. That's
Yeah.
great. That's
So-
a good plan B.
But thank you for
Thank you.
clarifying that, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else with this, events and invitations?
Rare other comments / instructions category we have.
I didn't.
Oh, the certificates of appreciation.
Oh,
Adrian hopped on.
yeah.
Nice. Hey, Adrian.
I apologize taking this meeting from my car between meetings, but happy to be here today and ask that you issue some certificates of appreciation to members of our incident management team that were just recently deployed and are now back from an assignment in Florida for Hurricane Ian support.
They are, they're
Woo,
signed.
woo.
Yay! No, I really want to emphasize my appreciation to the commission and all of our elected officials in Missoula County that have been supportive of developing, creating, and fostering this incident management team that has been so useful to us locally. And that utility that we've realized locally has been achieved through experiential trainings and assignments that they've been able to take across the country, really. And the commitment that they make and the time and effort that they put into developing those skills in incident command systems is just, it's remarkable. And so really pleased that you guys are issuing these certificates.
And just for the record, we should read through them because we should celebrate these folks. And we also want to know how to pronounce AJ's last name.
We just call him Raz.
Oh, okay.
Raz is his name.
You have a good radio voice, Slanik.
There's a lot.
This is, but you can do it super fast, because I think this is important.
Ron Brunel, Rob Taylor, Steve Monhoff, Brad Davis, Chris Kovach, Ken Parks, Nick Holloway, AJ Raz, Amy Schrenk.
Yay, we're so proud of them.
Thank you for your support.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're
That's
done.
really awesome.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great rest of your day.